It to three legs. The first leg was 900 miles to the first dam on the Missouri River, which is near Yankton, South Dakota. So I'm in charge of logistics and leadership. Okay, more like logistics and herdership. Herding these cattle. So we have the three craft going to go with us, and I've worked out where we're going to get gas and where we're going to stay. The Missouri River doesn't have a, because there are no locks and dams. The Missouri River don't have big pools like this, like on the Mississippi and other controlled rivers. So there's no boating to speak of. Fuel was a problem. Okay. So I got all this worked out, and we're going. And they beat me up there. They did the festivities, and I told the guys, I said, we're supposed to take the reenactors from the from the Missouri side over to the Illinois side where the actual boys started. And I told the people, I said, I want you to go to the Missouri side, and I want you to stand on the ground where you're going to pick these people up. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Well, I get up there, I said, well, where is it? Well, we tried over there, but we didn't go over there. I said, what do you mean you didn't go over there? No, we didn't go over there. Okay, well, we go over there, and it's riprap with a fence post driven in it. I mean, these spiky things sticking up. And here comes the Lewis and Clark reenactors, in costume with the York, the black guy that went with them, down to the riverside, and I looked at those rocks, and I looked at those. I thought, this thing is over with. We're going to catch one of those stakes. We're going to rip the guts out of this 19. Bob puts it right between those stakes, put her to, loads on the reenactors, and motors them across the way. I said, well, got that one out of the way. Okay. So we head up the river, and we are making in 1 hour what it took the Lewis and Clark party to make in 3 days. We're doing 30 miles an hour. They made about 10 miles a day. That party had 45, give or take, people on it. They had a hunting party that paralleled them, and they did nothing but shoot game to feed the party. And I calculated one time that the people that were doing the work were probably consuming 8,000 calories a day. Okay. 8,000 calories. I may be able to eat 8,000 calories a day, but I cannot metabolize them and work that hard to work that off. Those people were special people. They were equivalent to our most elite special forces today. Okay. We're going along a couple days out. One of the guys says, oh, there's so-and-so. What? And I hear a hovercraft. Oh, he's going to go with us part of the way. I says, no, we can't. We don't have enough supply. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess everybody gets a half a chicken breast tonight instead of a whole one. Anyway, we make that first 900 miles. It's really pleasant. No locks, no dams. A lot of towns right down the river. Beautiful. Make that first stop. We have to go by land. The idea was we're going to hover back. We go by land back to where the hovercraft are. Okay, leg number 1. So the next leg contains a lot of big lakes. Lake Sacagawea, so on and so forth, big dams up through there, so we had to portage around them. So we had Don Bender, not here tonight, but Don did the land side. Bob and I did the hover side. Bob was in charge of all hover decisions, was in charge of all the land decisions. And we get up in the morning, we get this map out, and I had these 1 to 250,000 maps, for 3 sets of them for everybody with our line marked on it and how many miles and all that kind of stuff. Ended up with road maps. Because road maps, really, you can't get lost on the river, right? Okay. And there's bridges that go across. It's on the road map. Oh, this is Bridge 69. Okay, we know where we are. Well, I got myself one, I got Don one, I got Bob one. Well, after a day or two, Bob's was a wet ball of paper in the bottom of the hovercraft. That man could not fold a map. So then I would get 2 for Bob, and 1 for me, and 1 for Don. At the end of the second leg, we were in the easternmost part of Montana at a reservoir called Fort Peck. Fort Peck Reservoir is 132 miles long, going to the northwest, which is where the prevailing winds are from. So we're all winter long, I'm thinking, all this 132 miles wind coming down, big breakers. You know, I have nightmares of standing on that dam and these white caps coming at us with 3-foot high waves that are 4 feet apart. So first thing we got to do, we got to drive 1,500 miles to get to the dam. We get to the dam and it's good weather. Got wind from the southwest. Great, we have a tailwind. Well, that kicked up some seas that we could only go as fast as the wind, generally speaking, 5 to 10 miles an hour. So tell me what that does to the flow of the air through the radiator for the thrust engine. There is no flow. Okay. So we're stopping and we get a gallon of water and we let it settle. We carefully decant it into the radiator, and we go another 15, 20, 30 miles. Pretty soon we're dipping this water out, we're right in the radiator. We didn't care what was in it. And so and the thing about this 130 miles, there is no place to get out. There's no access. You are there. And we make this 130 miles, and we meet Don at the top of the lake, and we head on up. And we're flying. We now have GPS. Lewis and Clark had the same problems we had, or we had the same problems they had. You got to trade with the natives, and you got to navigate, and you got to eat and sleep. Okay. So the way they traded with the natives was they took thousands of pounds of trade goods. They took beads and mirrors and hatchets and twists of tobacco and lead and so on and so forth. We took a piece of plastic 2 inches by 3. And I would give this to a guy, and he would give us gasoline and all kinds of stuff. Well, y'all,
2 by 3?
Huh?
2 by 3, yeah.
Yeah. Y'all may.
Pretty magically.
I'm sorry. Use guys may remember the quality of Bob's Vans. Well, by this time we had lost the muffler, and 100 mile east on Highway US or Interstate 80, just out of Cordova, the fuel pump had gone out, and so Don, we took the cowling off of the van engine. And Don had a quart bottle that he was pouring gasoline down the throttle body injection, or carburetor. And so we're going along. We're making about 35 miles on the interstate in the summer. It's 105. We're not making the minimum speed. I don't think cars are going by just as quick as they could. And Bob says, we're getting 8 miles to the gallon. And so the shoulder on that's the old interstate, the shoulder on that is not very wide. You can just barely get off. Now look ahead, and the shoulder disappears, and there's an overpass. And so Bob says, keep it running, keep it running. He moves over in traffic, keep it running. We got around, got off at an exit, and my wife, who's not here, I do want to say something about my wife. In about 2 weeks, I'll have been married to her for 50 years. If you see her, you might make a comment on it. She's good support. She's bailed me out. Hey, honey, I need a so-and-so. And, she called me back and said, yeah, I'll down there and talk to Frank. Okay. Well, as we had left, she had pressed into my hand a AAA card. I have never, ever had a roadside service. I just didn't do it. Our part of the country, you take care of your stuff. Okay. Okay. I put it in my pocket. Well, I got the AAA card. I said, come and get us, guys. And they picked us up. They would not let, the driver would not let more than 2 people go. He hauled the van. He wouldn't take the hovercraft. And so I looked at Don and Bob. I said, you guys have better mechanical skills than I do. I've located you a fuel pump. Have them take you there. So out in the parking lot of O'Reilly's, from which I am ever grateful, they changed the fuel pump in that van, which included taking off the bumper, removing the fuel tank, and then replacing the fuel. Anyway, so we're heading out. Okay. So anyway, the van, we leave parts along the way, and we get up, and we're heading up, we get to Lolo Pass, and there, at Three Forks, 3 rivers come together and to make the Missouri. So we decided to jump over and take the Clearwater down to the Snake River. So we went over the top there, and we got on the Clearwater and ran down to the Snake, met some people along the way. They offered to give us a exchange rides up through Hell's Canyon. This is the one point of my story tonight. We didn't do it. We didn't think we had time. So as you go through life, those opportunities, you have a goal, I know, but if you have an opportunity to pick up an extra benefit along the way, do it. We should have taken that ride in that jet boat.
Jet boats, yeah.
Jet boat
up in the
up
Hell's
Snake
Canyon.
River. Hell's Canyon. Okay. So we're going down the way and on the Columbia River, and the Columbia River Gorge. Okay, we're talking about a river with wind coming through it, going along one time, and we go by a fisherman, and we wave, and we go by, we're trying to crowd the weather by the wind by staying aside, and I noticed the hover is not working exactly right. You know, I'm not that in tune, but there was something wrong with it. So we met Don to get some fuel, and we pulled up on the ramp, and we were pulling over 100 yards of fishing line, monofilament, about 200 pounds. Apparently, when we had gone by this fisherman, we had snagged his line, and evidently we went faster than he could catch us. So I wanted to lock through. Now I got you here because it's raining. Okay. I wanted to lock through each one of the dams, but Bob wanted to go around, and I understand that. It was easier to put the hover on a trailer, drive it a mile, and put it down below and lock through. But I just had to lock through one of them. I talked Bob into it, and I realized that behind those gates was 100 feet of water. We went down 100 feet. It's dark at the bottom of one of those locks at 100 feet. Head on down the river.
How long did that take to get down 100 feet? How long did that take?
Hours?
No, probably 30 minutes. Yeah, they moved a lot of water. So finally, we're getting close to the end. We've got this routine going, and we stop at one of my favorite places, Troutsdale at a pub, and it was also a winery and a distillery and a theater and all this one place. And I was going to, Don and I got a room. Well, we got a bed in a hostel. Bob slept in the van. Okay. Next morning we get up, early morning. We do a little interview with the newspaper. Head down the river. We've got 60, 70 miles to go. Helicopters flying over, and it's just beautiful. It's one of those holy days. It's just beautiful. We're going along, a little wispy fog, smooth, sunny, warm. We're almost through with the trip. Well, when I was doing research on the trip, I called the power squadron at Astoria, which is on the west coast, mouth of the Columbia River. And I called the power squadron, and I said, I'm coming down there. What are the conditions like? You can't do it. I said, well, I want to go out. We're coming from so-and-so. I'm across the bar. You can't do it. I said, well, it's not like that every day. No, you can't do it. This is the Coast Guard's heavy weather school. This is where they train those coasties to do that, those heavy weather rescues. You can't go out on the ocean. Okay? Maybe you can't go, but you got to go look. So this is in the back of my mind. We're making this little beautiful down last few miles. Hey, this is going to be great. We turn the corner. We're 7 miles from the mouth of the ocean, and it is a different world. You have the hundreds of thousands of cubic feet of fresh water from the Columbia River meeting those waves that have been building since Japan. Okay. And so they're meeting like that. We come around that corner, and it's rough. I mean, we got these big rollers, and this, and I see Bob keep looking behind, and there's no shore. The shore is all big riprap with pilings. There's no place to get out. I said, Bob, it's just 5 more miles. So we're going over these rollers, and Bob's dodging these things. Go down this and go over that one. And he's flying this thing. So I see Bob look. I said, Bob, it's just 3 more miles. We're almost there. We're going along. And about this time, we spear away. The water comes up over the windshield into the cockpit. And there's scuppers in the back. Where water runs out, they're probably 6, 8 inches, 3 inches tall or something. The water could not run out of those scuppers fast enough. We had 6 inches of water in the crowd. Bob's flying the thing. Wow. Okay. So the bridge that goes across there, the Astoria Bridge, big pylon. So we get back and we're behind this pylon, kind of gathering ourselves. And I said, Bob, the harbor is just right over there. We could see it. Well, the way they had built this harbor was they had taken steel plates and driven them into the bed of the river. Okay, and they had openings about 20 feet, maybe 30 feet wide. Now we have those waves coming from Japan, hitting those steel waves and reflecting back. So now you have the rollers going this way and the reflected waves that sometimes no, but sometimes you have the waves superimposed on each other, and the top of it comes to a peak like this. So we're maneuvering around this, and the water's coming over, and I get my rain jacket out, and it's wet. We get to the opening in the harbor. We taxi up to a dock, throw a line on it. Bob turns to me, and you know how Bob's a pretty good pilot. I always say he's probably the best in the world. Turns to me and said, "That's the worst I've ever seen it." That's when I got scared. Okay. Now, and that's another point tonight. Great activities, great adventures are made up of... Wow, I'm losing. Great adventures are made up of little incremental problems that you solve one at a time. And then when you look back on it, you think, we really did that? But daily, it's just one solution at a time. Very seldom do you ever get absolutely dead in the water, can't do anything else. For me, when that happens, a good night's sleep makes it a whole lot better. Because there's solutions generally always. It may not be what you want, but you can generally work out of those things. Okay, that's another adventure with Bob. On this trip, sitting around the campfire, Bob doesn't drink, by the way. So I didn't either. Nobody thinks I'm here. Okay.
Careful, there's lightning.
Yeah, lightning.
Can't sit there.
We have a captain.
Anyway, so one of the things we started talking about and thinking about was there's a cruising route called the American Great Loop. Essentially, it defines the eastern part of the United States as an island. If you were to start at St. Louis, say, and go up the Illinois River to Chicago, you can get on the Great Lakes. You can take the Great Lakes around to Lake Erie. Lake Erie and the Erie Canal. And you can take the Erie Canal to New York City, down the Intercoastal Canal, across Florida, back to New Orleans, and back to St. Louis. And if you can circumnavigate something, I think that makes it an island. Well, I envisioned this cruise. It's about 4,000 miles. 20, 30 years ago, 4,000 miles in a hover was just, it was unfathomable. You just couldn't do it. You're probably going to use a skirt or two. But it's a doable trip. So I decided that I was going to make this cruise. So as you may have seen in the Hover News, I built a 31 foot by 11 foot 9 inches, that's 12 feet, hovercraft that's liveaboard. Has 2 berths, those are beds for you landlubbers, that can be combined to make a queen size bed if you have those kinds of companions. And refrigerator, microwave, toaster oven, double sink, and the all-important popcorn popper for beer and popcorn on Friday night. Anyway, so that craft is down at East Moline. We're going to come up here this trip, but the bridge down here weighs, a railroad bridge is not big enough to get under. It's off cushion. It takes 95 inches to get under the bridge. Off cushion, it takes about 200 or 300 pounds of thrust to make it go 2 or 3 miles an hour. And I've got about 1,000 miles on that craft, and I am not going to make the Great Circle. I'm not going to make the American Great Loop. Anybody here? Anybody here going to make that navigation? You can do it. It's doable. A lot of it is locks and dams and lakes, so you got a lot of support. You got marinas and Walmart and Kmart and stuff like that. So you can make it work. You probably need to pre-position some stuff, perhaps skirt material, an extra skirt, perhaps. But that can be done. I'm not going to be able to do it. My time is fast. I can give lectures and give talks and sometimes fly my hover some. But it's up to you guys to carry that on. And my point is, I challenge you to do that. And if you want to build a liveaboard, talk to me. There's no reason for you to reinvent the wheel. I can make it a lot better real quick for you, let me tell you. Okay, have any questions? Anything I'd like to ask, or performance, or what we did every day? Or
How much gas do you run through a day down there? Typically.
Okay, I get 4.5 miles a gallon, give or take. I operate more like an airplane in that I run a particular RPM, and that burns 6.7 gallons an hour. I have 100 gallons on board. So you got to stop every now and then to do that.
Sure.
I did come down from Kansas City to Cordova last year, and the Missouri River, I would like to encourage you people to do the Missouri River. There's no locks for 900 miles. A lot of really pretty country. It's diverse. There's very few services, though. You've got to plan your trip very well. But I ran into a series of, "Are you Mike?" Okay. My son pulled, I have a trailer for the hover. By the way, the river bear's for sale. Can I do that? Do I have to pay a penalty or something? Okay. Anyway, so my son pulled it on the trailer up from Oklahoma, and we put it in Kansas City. And I spent a couple days at the Missouri River Boat Association. And good bunch of folks that, family events on the Missouri River. So I headed downstream, and one morning I woke up, and this is the thing about traveling on these rivers, especially when you have a liveaboard. You run up a creek, you run up a river, sit on a sandbar, sit out on the front. I had a block of styrofoam I could sit on. Had a place to set my beer, and just watch the day. Watch the evening end. Watch the night creatures come out. Bats, hear the crickets, cool breeze, review the day, and then go back in the back and lay down on a nice soft bed, stretch out, turn on the fan. I got a fan in this thing. It's a radiator fan off of a V8, and when it goes on high, you can close the door, and the wind will open the door 2 inches, so you can circulate all the mosquitoes out if you have any in it. And that's the beauty of that kind of travel. Every morning is a new place. You meet new people. So one morning I got up, had coffee, sat around, headed out, and I saw this boat tied up to a sandbar. So I ran up on the sandbar about 100 yards away, and I thought, well, if the guy's interested, he'll come over. I don't want to bother him. Sure enough, here he comes. And he is cruising also. He is has retired. Took 3 years to build this boat. Beautiful workmanship. He had the same problems I have and solved them very similar. Obviously a bright guy. And I said, well, Mike, he's head down there. Yeah, okay. So the next place I go to stop and get gas, I pull up, throw a line on the mooring, and the guy comes out and says, are you Mike? I said, well, yeah, I am. Jim called and said you were coming. I said, okay, yeah, I'm here. And came down, we visited a little bit. He said, well, are you going to stay for the concert? And I said, what concert? Oh, every Friday night we have a concert. And so they had a band, river band. And it was a family event. Little kids, big kids, grandparents, everybody. Good event. 10:30 they planned it up. And nobody was there at 11. They ran everybody off. So I met the great-great-great-grandson of William Clark, and he was carving canoes there. Named Churchill Clark. Okay. He was carving canoes. And okay. So I head on down. I'm going to put in near St. Louis at a casino, and I'm taxiing up and down the shore trying to find a place to put in. The guy comes down and says, "Are you Mike?" I said, "Yeah, I am." Said, "Yeah, Churchill said you were coming." He says, "Why don't you come over?" Okay, so I drove a stake in the ground and tied the hover up, and I said, "Come on up and have something to eat." They were cleaning the river, and they had picked up tons of stuff, including whole canoes and outboard motors and all kinds of stuff. They probably had 1,000 people, Boy Scout troops, and everybody there. Okay, so head down, get down to the Missouri River on the Mississippi, head back up. I said, I'm going to run up to Illinois a little bit, and I pull into a marina there, and I'm tying up. We got some boats there that they have twin 50-amp service. Got plants in the main salon. And here am I camping out. I've been in the same clothes for 3 days. The guy comes down and says, "You Mike?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I've been reading the post on the Great American Loop. We're expecting you." "Okay." "We're having a party tonight." "Okay." Okay. And this is called Dock Tales. Play on words. And the potluck, and those cruisers that cruise this loop, of course, they only make 20, 30 miles a day, that cruise this loop, get together and they go in coveys or groves or something, and they knew I was coming. Anyway, I wanted to hope that you guys will make that loop, have adventures,